Tanya Eaton, who is one of the first person that I met when I joined Toastmasters about a year ago. She's been with Toastmasters since 2015, and now she is the current president. And Tanya was kind enough to step in and put together a speech around this specific topic of unity in diversity. So help us welcome Tanya.
Welcome to the divided states of America. We're a fractured nation, and unless we want to see history repeat itself, we need to make a commitment to embrace diversity. Think back to Jeff's speech of last summer. His speech was called Failure to Communicate, and in that speech, he talked about how the civil unrest of last summer, following the George Floyd incident, was eerily similar to the protests of his time. What was that, 30, 40, 50 years ago? Gee, Jeff, you're old. We're failing to communicate, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse. Last summer, George Floyd, January 6th of this month, storming the Capitol. So Mira, as our Toastmaster of the evening, took it deep tonight. And I believe she chose this topic because she thinks it's important to look at where we are and ask, how can we have unity in diversity? What does it mean to have unity in diversity? I believe it means a diverse group of individuals working towards a common goal and having the same vision. And having that same vision is important. To illustrate, I'll go to an example that I often use. You take the example of traditional Western medicine and alternative medicine. Over the past centuries, the two have often opposed each other because they have an us against them mentality. I'm right and you're wrong. But in recent years, we've had breakthroughs, and we now have integrative medicine because some people from both sides finally realized that they share a common vision of the individual patient's health. And now they can communicate with each other and work towards a common goal. So having that vision is important. Another example goes back to the topic of Jeff's speech, the civil unrest that was caused by the police overreach. And I believe that most people may be familiar with this quote by Jon Stewart. You can have great regard for law enforcement and still want them to be held to high standards. Jon Stewart is saying, it's not us against them. It's not I'm right and you're wrong. He invites us to envision a world where police are trained correctly and injuries and killings are rare or even non-existent. People from all political viewpoints can share this vision and work towards the common goal of drastically reducing injuries and deaths to civilians at the hands of police while they're on the job. So now you have the key to unity in diversity. It's a shared vision with a goal or goals to achieve that vision. Yeah, well, if only it were that easy. But building relationships with people different than ourselves is difficult. Martin Luther King had the answer. He said, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. That bears repeating. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. So that's what it takes. The first step is having the Martin Luther King unconditional love and acceptance of others. Anything less, and we're doomed to have history repeat itself. So the first step is having that commitment to accepting others, and that acceptance guides our actions. So for example, the next time I'm scrolling through Facebook and I'm annoyed by someone who doesn't share my political beliefs, my unconditional love for that individual far outweighs my need to show them that I'm right. And people can sense acceptance. The second step is to communicate and make a commitment to active listening. Listening is the most important skill in communication. Listening is powerful, and when people feel listened to, anger dissipates. The third step is keeping everyone involved in building the solution. This will keep the motivation high enough to reach breakthroughs. But you will also be surprised to find out what works. Don't let yourself catch the disease of, that's the way it's always done, because you'll miss out on the opportunity of serendipity. And serendipity has led to history's greatest breakthroughs. Let's restate tonight's key points. The key to unity in diversity is having a shared vision with a goal or goal working towards that vision. And nothing less than unconditional love will get us out of the current situation we are in. Communicate. Everyone has to feel listened to. Act on it. Everyone is involved in building the solution. And lastly, after you have formed your team of diverse individuals and found a breakthrough and changed the world, share your story. Think back to Robert Murray's most recent speech when he told us about the breakthrough that he's had since the pandemic started. Rob excels at facilitating meetings. He formed a partnership with someone who excels at emceeing the meeting and making the Zoom meetings pop. And he said the result was greater than the sum of just the two parts. It wasn't just 1 + 1 = 2, it was 1 + 1 = 10. And that's how powerful it can be when we seek out partnerships with people different than ourselves. It leads to breakthroughs. Sharing his story enabled us to see ourselves doing the same thing and working towards our own breakthrough. But Rob's sharing of the story also helped us to see that this can go as deep or as shallow as you need it to, depending on where you are on your journey. We're all at different levels in embracing diversity. That's what makes this a lovely, diverse world. And not everyone wants to be the next Mother Teresa. So speaking of Mother Teresa, that's exactly why she has this quote. What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family. You can start where you are right now by being self-aware and making a commitment to accepting others in your immediate surroundings. And it will have a ripple effect. Your life will change. I leave you with this thought. On the other side of your most difficult conversation lies your biggest breakthrough. Back to you, Mira.
Thank you, Tanya.